Hi, my name is Darrell Cole. Welcome to the program once again. Financial Intelligence Center and the Bank of Ghana are mapping out areas that are being used for computer fraud activities, also known as Sakawa, as a way of helping fight money laundering, as Ghana stands a risk of being blacklisted.
They hide behind their computers to dupe their victims, usually on the internet, and then deposit their proceeds, hard cash most times, in Ghanaian banks or buy properties. It is called computer fraud, or in the local parlance, Sakawa. But the activities could soon come to an end because the Financial Intelligence Center and the Bank of Ghana are stepping in to avoid a possible blacklisting of Ghana for money laundering. Head of Audit and Risk Management Department at the Financial Intelligence Center, Emmanuel Mensah, has been speaking to JoyNews on the sidelines of a training program for the Association of Capital Market Operators and Anti-Money Laundering Reporting Officers.
There are several cases. In fact, what we have been working with the FIC to do, one of the very important areas is that for every criminal act that is committed, we should look at the money laundering implications in it. So if somebody steals money or through corruption or whatever, after prosecuting the person for the crime that he has committed, we should also prosecute the person for money laundering if any of it has taken place. Right now, what happens is that prosecution is for probably the stealing that has gone on, but not for money laundering. So there's training for the police, the law enforcement agencies, the judiciary, and so on, to ensure that money laundering issues feature in our jurisprudence very, very strongly.
The training program offers practitioners latest trends in the money laundering world and how to combat it. President of the association, Samuel Parkwesiafo, says their members recognize the negative impact money laundering has on the country and is ready to assist the Bank of Ghana and the FIC to arrest perpetrators.
The association is made up of anti-money laundering reporting officers and compliance officers. And in a chess game, we have some people called pawns. They are in the front line dealing with the clients day-to-day basis. So they should be able to understand suspicious transactions that are coming in and report to the FIC. The FIC, even though FIC and SEC, even though they are the regulators, they are not in our various firms. So we meet the client, we onboard the client, do the KYC, enhance due diligence, customer due diligence. So we should be able to report to SEC and FIC that this person bought this money, X amount of money, and we flag it maybe as a suspicious transaction. And then FIC take on and then investigate. We don't do the investigation. The FIC or SEC does the investigation. So we are basically the forefront. That's why our members need to be trained to be able to identify issues concerning money laundering that is coming in, and then various transactions that are coming in, able to identify any money laundering situation in it. So that's when the association comes in strongly.
Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Paul Ababio, says government will strictly enforce the laws on money laundering.
A few years ago, we didn't even have an AML law. And so the question became, we weren't even gathering data on some of these activities. The banking sector, just by its nature of operations, obviously has to deal with a lot of international markets. So they have historically had to have a stronger KYC backbone. But for the other non-bank sectors, because we are mostly focused on local business, there hasn't been that level of exposure. But now with the local legislation and with the regulations we are coming out with, we expect a stronger regulation of such activities.
The exercise, according to the FIC, will be extended to individuals with questionable sources of income.
Now, the Tax Compliant Task Force of the Ghana Revenue Authority has embarked on a mobile session to clamp down on companies which have defaulted on payment of taxes. The first port of call was the Accra Mall, which defaulted in tax payments worth over 2 million Ghana cedis. The timely payment of the debts by management prevented a closure of the mall by the tax force. Joy Business's Charles Aite was there with the tax force and now reports.
First point of call was the Accra shopping mall near Shiashi in Accra, where members of the task force and a company of armed policemen attempted to lock up the mall for defaulting in the payment of over 2 million cedis of VAT. The GRA revealed that the management of the mall defaulted in paying the taxes for the period between September 2013 and October 2015. Management eventually settled the debt through a check presented to the Chief Revenue Officer, Wisdom Kofi Heto. He later spoke to Joy Business.
We have encouraged them to come voluntarily to pay their taxes. In fact, the law enjoins them to make reasonable arrangements to settle any tax debt that they owe Ghana Revenue Authority. But this was not done. This was not complied with. So today we are here to fall on other tools available to us to ensure that these tax debts are settled.
Another revenue officer at the GRA, John Yao Boabin, said the move will be part of GRA's tax collection campaign aimed at improving tax compliance, especially among the informal sector.
If they do not pay here and now as we expect, then we apply the seal of sanction, where the whole building, their office will be sealed and then logged with the commissioner's tape, and they have no right to open it until they have come to make satisfactory arrangement to pay the liability.
The move by the Debt Management and Compliance Enforcement Unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, forms part of efforts to improve upon tax compliance in the country.
Now, Ghanaians have not yet enjoyed the full benefits of the annual the budget funding amounts from 2014 to 2016. This according to an assessment by the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment on oil-funded projects. The assessment was based on the 4 priority areas, which include education, health, agriculture, and infrastructure, as mandated by the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Addressing a stakeholder workshop on key provisions of the Act, Executive Director of KITE, Ishmael Ejekum-Hene, revealed that about 65% of projects in the beneficiary districts are not listed as priorities per the law.
We need to stop spreading the money. We need to stop targeting too many projects. Let's focus on, even if it's one project, let's focus on that and use them. And otherwise, after another 5 years, we'll come back and we'll be in the same situation.
Would that be a fair conclusion to say the money were not spent fairly?
As expected by the Act, I wouldn't say we have been able to spend the money as expected by the Act, because there are 4 objectives that the Act said. If we use the ABFA money, we have to ensure, amongst other things, balance, even unbalanced development. We should use it to maximize economic development. We should use to help the people who are disadvantaged. And if you look at those 4 areas, and that it should be aligned to a long-term national development plan, I wouldn't say that we've been able to achieve that.
But in all this, what has been your engagement with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that some of these monies are being accounted for?
Well, the Ministry of Finance are supposed to report to Parliament, and Parliament, in actual fact, are the ones who are supposed to get the Ministry of Finance to do the right things. Clearly, the way even the projects are described, you cannot even go and find some of the projects because of their description. So the Ministry of Finance, thankfully, they were here, so they know what they are supposed to do. They know they need to report on the project as dictated by the law, so as to allow for easy monitoring of the projects.
In other news tonight, the Association of Certified Chartered Economists has held its 5th continuous professional development program and induction in Accra. In an interview on the sidelines of the seminar as part of the induction, Head of Finance, School of Business at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. John Gache, highlighted the conflict in the Petroleum Act and the Petroleum Revenue Management Act with regards to using petroleum reserves as collateral for funding upstream petroleum activities.
A total of 41 students were inducted, 39 as chartered members and 2 fellows of the Association of Chartered Certified Economists. They had earlier undergone series of examinations and taken part in continuous professional development programs to qualify. Among the topics discussed at the seminar that preceded the induction ceremony were emerging issues in public procurement and reserve-based financing, and also banking distress, causes and effects. Head of Finance, School of Business at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. John Gachi, in an interview underscored the critical nature of securing financing for petroleum upstream activities and how banks are managing with reserve-based financing.
What we have been emphasizing is that in the case of reserve-based lending, there is what we call reserve report. It is the reserve report that will indicate the various things that the financial institution is interested in. For example, the financial institution will want to see a reserve report semi-annually to indicate the due diligence regarding leasehold for oil and gas operation and ownership right, the time value of money issues, that is the discount factor, looking at issues relating to the type and classification of reserve, because we have different type of reserve. Basically, financial institutions are interested in proving reserve because they believe that the reserve production ratio is about 90% sure that petroleum production can take place in commercial quantity.
On his part, lecturer at the Department of Marketing and Supply Chain Management, University of Cape Coast, Innocent Aqua, said the Public Procurement Act is only good if it will be strictly complied with. He advocated a commission to oversee its implementation.
We are running away from sole sourcing, even though sole sourcing is not a bad thing. The only thing we need to do is to ensure that it is regulated and it is implemented well. That is why our Act captured sole sourcing as a method of procurement and also gave procedures we should follow if we want to do sole sourcing. So if any entity fails to follow those procedures, then the PPA should step in to ensure that those procedures are followed. If those members follow the procedures and the actors in the market still try to rig the system, that's why I mentioned that then we need a competition and market commission. Essentially, their duty will be to investigate all actions of collusion in the market that tries to suppress competition. I would prefer it is in the form of SHRAD, as SHRAD is. However, it should be said that they can investigate, or they can on their own start an investigation, as well as receive complaints from individuals, from the public.
And what we are saying is that customers put their money in banks and they expect that these banks would use their monies creditably. Now, should there be any cause for a bank's failure, the deposits that are stored with these banks, that have been used by these banks, should be repayable. Customers should get their money. And so the insurance part of it is meant towards ensuring that when banks insure the deposits of these customers, should there be liquidity issues, should there be crisis, these monies would be returned to these customers. And it is important that we have that in the wake of the kind of lapses that have been shown within the last few years, where we have seen non-bank financial institutions, we have seen some banks collapse, etc. You are concerned that, well, customers kept their money there. They kept their money. So when those banks collapse, where would their monies be?
The Association of Certified Chartered Economists recognizes the fact that certifications and designations are competitive differentiators and one of the best ways to prove employees have the necessary knowledge, skills and experience to perform their jobs.
Aviation now, an Air Mauritius, Ethiopian airline, and indigenous carrier Africa World Airline have been named by the Aviation Minister Cecilia Dapa as airlines that are currently being examined for the establishment of a national carrier. This follows recent policy approval by Parliament for the ministry to commence work on the establishment of a home carrier since the collapse of Ghana Airways in 2004. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the Aviation Safety Week, the sector minister, Cecilia Dapa, told Joy Business that her ministry is seriously assessing proposals to find the most suitable partner for government.
Day and night, we've been working to bring on board a number of projects, including the establishment of both local or domestic, regional, as well as international airlines. And we are vigorously pursuing that. You heard of baby jets? Yes, they are ongoing. We are not even 1 year yet in government, but look at the strikes. We have a lot of unsolicited as well as solicited proposals that we are studying. So very soon, when the green light, we have the policy approval from cabinet. So we are on course. We are reviewing all the proposals, yes. Yeah. The interests have been shown by Air Mauritius and Ethiopian Airlines, as well as our. So we are doing the permutations and studying the proposals to see which one will suit Ghana's private participation as well as government interest.
You're watching Business Live. Time to bring you the Joy Business Van. Now, when she failed to raise money to further her education after senior high school, Sandra Oswald was not deterred. In the midst of challenges, she discovered an opportunity in making shoes, men's shoes. Today, her shoe brand, St. Oswald, is grabbing attention. Sandra invites us to the capital of the Bono region, Sunyane, where the shoes are manufactured on this episode of the Joy Business Van. Sandra Oswald has had to deal with one challenge or the other growing up. After senior high school, she was at a crossroads.
That time my parents had nothing to help me continue my education. So I have to hustle for myself, do something for myself. And I'm a type who don't like to depend on people, and also I love to create something on my own. But back at the senior high, I used to even make granite cakes, ice cream, and sell them secretly to my friends. So after school, when I realized there was no money to support my education again, I decided to do something for myself.
It was at a friend's wedding it occurred to Sandra she could make shoes.
I realized the husband, which was a groom, was wearing a shoe which was made with African print. And I was quite shocked because I never knew we could make shoes in Ghana. So after the wedding, I contacted the bride, who is my friend, contacted her, and I asked her about the shoe her husband was wearing, and she told me, oh, it's made in Ghana. And I said, wow.
Fascinated by that, Sandra made keen arrangements to meet the shoemaker, whose products she would start selling. But after a while, Sandra did not want to just be a shoe seller. She wanted to own a shoe manufacturing company. She convinced her shoemaker friend to join her, and that is how St. Oswald Shoes started. Today, the Joy Business Van is at the Bono Aboriginal capital, Sunyane, where Sandra's shoemaking factory is based. Sandra struggled with funding at the beginning and had to rely on support from friends and family. Raw materials for her shoes are sourced locally. The shoes are of good quality, durable, and Sandra tries to add an African touch. That is her selling point. The other struggle for entrepreneurs like Sandra was convincing people to patronize made-in-Ghana products. So what has been the strategy to build confidence in her products?
Looking at what I'm bringing out, the designs and even adding up the African print and other stuff is making people love the shoes. And I think now people feel proud when they wear made in Ghana, and that is helping. And also, I've also been able to reach some few celebrities who have been advertising the shoes on their various social media pages, and also wearing them, giving me pictures to post on my company pages.
It appears to be working. Most of Sandra's shoes are marketed in Accra. Her factory makes 100 pairs of men's shoes every month. Sandra has always wanted to make an impact on the world around her. It almost seems unbelievable that she has come this far.
I feel very proud, and I think this will serve as an example to the youth and the coming generations, because shoemaking, we all know, is for men, but I'm changing everything, all the conception about it. By shoemaking is not only for men. Women can also do what men do. And I'm in to motivate and also change how Ghana is seen by the rest of the world.
Sandra's next big task is to start making women's shoes. That should be very soon. Time to bring you our interview of the day, and Chief Executive of Customer Service Africa, Priscilla Asante, is urging the public to make the concept of customer service a lifestyle and not be limited to people who are into direct sales or customer-oriented businesses. Ms. Asante was speaking to Joy Business ahead of the two-day customer service bootcamp, which is being organized by her outfit under the theme Christmas Package, The Power of Smile.
To help people relearn. There are a lot of people who believe they are customer service people, they're front desk personnel. The boot camp, it's a one-day boot camp where you're not doing the training in your house or your office. We're keeping you in a refined place where your mind is just in reforming yourself and getting proper understanding of the role you play as a customer service person. And it's really very something that is dear to my heart, that I want people, irrespective of what industry or what organization you belong to, even if you sell in the market, you're focused about the customer and wanting to give your best service to them. And in doing that, we're going to change a lot of things. It's going to boost your clientele data. It's going to make more revenue, because when people are happy, they want to stay with you. It's not just your facility or the products you sell or the service. It's how you deliver it that means so much to the customer.
So is this bootcamp open to just the employed, or the unemployed are also taking part in this?
Okay, so it's open to both. We do training for organizations as well, and we're saying that this time those that were not able to, have their own training, they can pick their staff that have easy access to or their frontline staff to join. And then those that are unemployed, when they join, we give them an opportunity to have a 1-month internship to actually try and put into practice what they've learned from us.
We've got more business news for you on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. That's it for Business Live. We'll see you tomorrow.